So, in order to prepare presentations, let's go right into the matter. And the first matter in activities like this is always planning. How to think through what you actually want to do, how the presentation should go, what parts should be in there, and how you will deliver. So planning is the first thing. There are many different ways how to try out, how to set up a presentation. Let's go with the 5 P's here: planning, preparation, practice, performance, and passion. These are the 5 key themes I want to talk you through and share a bit about how to use them in order to prepare your presentation. And maybe one guidance that is already helpful for a presentation. If I've just given you that structure of those 5 key points, that's the structure of my presentation to you, of the videos that we create. So it is always helpful for the listener, for the watcher, for the audience to keep that structure in mind. So one idea that I sometimes use is, if I've given the structure, I put that into the right corner. The 5 items that I want to talk about, and I highlight the one where we are at this moment. So whenever the audience gets lost a little bit, what am I hearing, where in the presentation are we? That's your guidance. You can always have a quick look. Okay, we are at point 1, at point 2, at point 3, or 5. So these are the things that are still coming. Yeah, it just helps the audience to follow. So part of the planning is to think about how will the outcome look like? How much is the time that you have available? Depending on the number of people in your project team, you might have 15 minutes or 20 minutes, including or excluding Q&A. Find out. You need to be clear on this because that sets the overall time frame. And as a rule of thumb, you can meaningfully talk about 2 or 3 slides, 2 or 3 minutes per slide. So if you have 20 minutes, you don't need 80 slides. We have seen presentations where students prepare 40, 50, 60, 70 slides with all appendices and everything. You will not be able to go through this in 20 minutes. And if you manage to go through, no one will be able to follow. So don't even try. It does not make any sense. Think it through from the beginning to say, if we have, say, 20 minutes for the purpose of this timeline, that's about 7 to 10 slides maximum, not more. You can prepare a few for the appendix so that you have a few details, maybe some tables, some extra graphs, if you need that later. But your main body of presentation, don't make it like a movie with too many slides and flash them up for a few milliseconds in front of your audience. The audience cannot follow. You have to talk more than you show slides in your presentation. You should also, before you start writing things down, clarify what are the key messages that we actually want to convey to our audience. In the sense what I said before, what is that new thing that you want to share? What is the key takeaway the audience needs to remember, to memorize afterwards? Yeah? Lead with that. Make sure the audience is getting this point. What's the value, the overall value of your work? That is what people should take away from your presentation. And divide the slides onto these key messages. What is it that you want to share? 1 or 2 slides for each of these key items. So you have maybe 2 or 3 slides per topic. Yeah? Not much more in the first round, in the body of your presentation. And now I want to show you a bit of, say, how's the time distribution and effort distribution likely in your project, and which of these parts will you transfer into the presentation. Yeah? So we have here the effort in the vertical, and we have the different life cycle stages of your project on the horizontal axis. Yeah, that starts with the idea finding, with motivation, defining the research questions, scoping, do your literature research, define your method that you want to apply, do your own work, do the investigations, maybe the trials, the programming if it is involved. You get your results, you have a bit of evaluation, and you present the outcome and conclusion. Roughly, that is a life cycle of academic work and maybe also of your project. And what I show here with the graph that is appearing is, at the beginning, that's very important, but it actually doesn't take too much effort. You should be rather quick in sorting the ideas, defining the research questions, scoping your work, because that's not the work itself yet. You need to do that early on. The bulk of your efforts will go into researching what others have been doing in that space, what does already exist, so you don't have to redo this work. Defining your method, actually doing your work, your research, your developments, your structuring of the activities. Then you get results, you evaluate them, and you come to conclusions. And that's again done with a little bit less effort. So you have a bit of effort at the beginning, at the end, and the peak of it is for executing the actual project work. However, the red part is now the time spent in the presentation. And that will look very, very different. Because in a presentation, you don't need to spend as much time on certain things as they took in real life, because only the results are interesting. So in a presentation, what you need to do is you need to spend a lot of effort compared to the size of the presentation, effort to share with the audience why it is important, what is your idea, what's the motivation, what are the research questions that you will answer, yeah, what's the new thing that is the outcome of your work. All the project work that you had in between is not so relevant, it's not so interesting, because you only have 20 minutes to share. So you focus on why have we done it, what is the question, what did we want to clarify, and at the end, what are the actual outcomes, what did we achieve. So 1 or 2 slides may be for the purpose, for the objective. 1 or 2 slides, what have others done? What is the result of your literature review, so that you can relate your work on the background of what other people have been doing. A few more slides, but not too many more. 4, 5, 6 slides. What have we achieved? A bit of how did we achieve, but what is the outcome in principle? The evaluation of your results, the conclusion that you want to draw about your work. And you can prepare, of course, a couple of slides that reflect the bulk of your work. What exactly have we done? How did we do it? Maybe also, why was it complex? Why did something take so long? But prepare a couple of slides on this and have them ready for the Q&A section. Not to be presented during the actual body of your presentation, but know about it, have it prepared, and be ready to showcase in case your supervisor or the co-supervisor or anyone else in the audience asks you, but I see the result. How did you do it? If you then have a slide that can talk to this, that is very fine, but only if it is being asked by the audience. So this is a suggestion on actually how to structure, the red line here, how to structure your presentation, how to define the important points, and sort of sneakily how to prepare for some questions in the Q&A. And you can lead into that question. I'll say something about this a little later when we come to how to close a presentation. But for the moment here, think about it in that way. Only a moderate amount of slides about the important parts. What did we do, why, and what was the outcome? That's the major point that you can share in 20 minutes. That's not a long time, in a way. 20 minutes to share with your audience and transport the result of your work. How to prepare and how to execute will be in the next video.